Now that we have a mooching rig, what do we do with it? You use it to catch a salmon, silly. Okay, well, that wasn't really the exact answer that I'm going for. What you really do is most likely you're going to use it to troll a cut plug herring behind a flasher. Then you're going to catch a salmon. So basically, I'm going to show you in today's video how I rig my standard herring on the mooching rig. Now, somebody asked me a couple of really good questions, and the real good question was, why do you tie your own? Why wouldn't you just buy something like this pre-tied and use that? Well, sometimes I do use that. However, I do prefer the different hook, which is the big river hook, which has a little bend in it, and you might be able to see it a little bit better like that. And you can see it curves out. And then the regular octopus hook, which is what the normal ones come with, have a nice smooth curve. And I feel like this one just sets in the jaw a little bit better when you really hook them really good. And I don't know, you know, it's just been working good, and it has a nice offset. The other reason is the line is basically I use a fluorocarbon, and what comes on these is mono. So if you want to use fluorocarbon, there's a few out there that do tie with fluorocarbon, but for the most part, most of them are monos. I can control the weight of my lures, of my line, and I can also control the distance between it. So like if I'm using a whole anchovy, I might be a little bit closer, or even a cut plug anchovy, I might even come even closer on my ties. Where if I'm using a herring, if it's a big one, I need to be 6 inches apart, which is what the standard is. And also, if I'm using smaller herrings, I can also go with a closer tie also, which I do have. Like for instance, in this package which I tied, I reuse all my empty packages. This one here has a 5-foot line. It's got a 4/0 and a 4/0 hook on it with a 5-inch spacing using 40-pound leader. So basically, I put a little address tag on the package and write down what I put in there. So that way when I'm out in the boat, I can look at the package, I can say, oh yeah, that's what I need. So, and you know, all the packages are labeled nicely like that too. I just wanted to go on. So now we're going to get on with the video. Okay, so next thing we want to talk about is a cutting jig. Now, if you see on the cutting jig, you have one side that says king, which is Chinook, and one side that says coho. On the other side, it says silver and Chinook. So basically, when you look at this, that's how you're going to cut. You're always cutting to this side. So when we're looking at this, we're cutting to this side. I don't know if it's reversible, but I don't really use it that way. So the night before you get your bait, you should take it and you should cure it or brine it, whatever you want to call it. But basically, you either have a simple salt water solution with sea salt or rock salt, and then you can add other things to it and make your own custom thing. You can Google that and find 100 different recipes, or you can just use ProCure. And I basically use ProCure normally, and I mix it 50-50. The only time I don't use ProCure would be like if I'm fishing in Tillamook. Usually I buy it there and I put it in the bay water with a bunch of rock salt. Then I let it sit in there as long as I can. Now, if I'm going anywhere else, I'm usually letting it sit overnight. You see, nice shiny eyes, as many scales as possible. If scales are falling off, then you probably have bad bait. And this has been in the freezer a little long, but it's still pretty nice. I keep it vacuum sealed, so that way, just like anything I would eat, I take care of it the same way I would for the fish. So I'm going to set 2 of them out here, and they've been soaking in the salt for a few hours, and I'm going to pick 2 good ones here. Looks pretty reasonable. So you can see that there is a little bit of difference in size. And so normally I would start with the larger size ones and work my way down. Also, I like the ones that have the best color. I am a big fan of using a blue color. I know another guy who's a big fan of using green. Sometimes I'll just go with clear, and I also like adding a little drop of anise to my mix sometimes. If you do add drop of anise to it, make sure you bring both scented and unscented bait, because you know you can put in 4 or 6 herring in the anise scent and the rest of your bait in unscented, and if it starts hitting all the anise, you can just start throwing bait in there and let it sit for an hour or so, and at least you won't be out of business if that's what you use. But if they're not hitting anise and you've scented all your stuff, you're stuck with it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this and we're going to go, okay, so we're going to go Chinook. Now the Chinook spin is a slower spin, so you get that particular action. So I push this fish all the way up to the front, and you see I have my fingers on him so he's not going to move, and one nice cut all the way through, just like that. That's fish food. Now you can see you have the fish like this. Now you need to get some of the guts out of there, otherwise that'll just trail out. So what I do is I take my finger and I push on here, and then I just grab a little bit without cutting into the fish. Now if you want to get more out, you can squeeze it more, but I just want enough of it that it doesn't come out. So we'll take a little bit more out there and call it good, and you see we got a nice sharp edge there. Okay, so I'm going to set this one aside for now. Okay, now I'm going to take this, I'm going to look at it the other way, and this one we're going to cut like this. Okay, both fingers here, line it up where you want it, and from back to front, one nice cut, just like that, and boom, in the drink. Fish food. Okay, same thing, let's get this out of the way. Here, give it a little squeeze, get some of those guts out of there. See, nice little pocket there. Okay, so now the primary difference in these two pieces is there's a different angle, and this one for the Chinook is going to spin slower than this one for the coho. So now we're going to grab a fishing pole and we're going to put one of these on. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, put it in there all the way without bending the fish, and push it through there and back, just like that. Okay, then I'm going to go over the top, just like that, and right back through the fish, just right under the backbone, and rest it there. This is a pretty small hook set for this size of fish. So then we're going to find the backbone with the first hook, and right next to it, just like that. Then we'll pull this tight. Now this is a small set of hooks, so normally for a herring this large, we're going to run it just a little bit longer. And you're just like that. Now we're going to put the other camera on, and then we're going to run it down there, and you can take a look at it underwater. Okay, we're going to take this one loose real quick here. And it's easy just to push the hooks back through. Last thing I want to do is hook myself. Also notice that I'm wearing gloves. I always do that. Okay, so now, same thing. All the way in. And then curve. And pull it through. Some people will just leave that hanging there. I don't like to do that because I don't think it gives us any guarantee that it's going to be up next to the fish. So then here and up in here, just like that, and boom, through like that. Okay, so you see it's just going to be right there. This, like I said, this is a small rig. All right, so now we're going to put it back out. We're going to try it on both sides just like we did the last one. All right, so a couple more things that you can do. If you want it to spin faster, you want to get it to spin faster, just basically just like that. Just like that. Like that. And then one more thing right there. You're just cutting its butt open a little bit. That'll get you a little bit faster spin because there's less resistance. And there you go. Just like that. And we're just going to go ahead, undo that. And undo that. I wanted to take a minute to compare the Chinook cut to the coho cut. You can see the Chinook on the top and the coho on the bottom spinning significantly faster. The coho almost looks like a spinner, it flips so quick.